All right. Do you have any regrets?
I would say my biggest regret is that I wasn't ever able to have quite as enough time with my kids, although I tried really hard to have a balanced life. But I wish I could have taken off more time when each of my kids was born and they were like a little baby, because I had to go back to work so fast that I didn't really have a lot of one-on-one time for a very long time when they were just babies.
Yeah. If you had more time when they were babies, what would you do with them?
Well, I would like to have had more opportunity to do like mommy and me programs and just go to the park and walk around and just read little books to them and play blocks and things like that.
Yeah. How has your life been different than you imagined it would be?
Well, interestingly, I never really fully formed a view of my life ahead of time. It was just sort of always evolving. So I wouldn't say it was really different than I planned. It just sort of evolved into what it was. Probably if I were to say something was different, it was that I probably worked harder than I ever thought I would have. Put in a lot more hours and just ended up overall just working at my job a lot harder than I ever would have thought I would have.
All right. So as a doctor, how would you react if you got a call and the person at a hospital said it was an emergency and you were needed?
Oh, I would get away from whatever I was doing as fast as possible and go right to the hospital to help out in any way I could.
What emotions would you feel? Would you feel panic or more of a you're needed feeling?
Well, interesting. I never really panicked when I had to do emergency work at the hospital. I just got into the right mind frame and I never panicked about anything that I had to deal with at the hospital. So more I would feel worried, like, what's wrong, what's wrong?
Yeah, all right. Who have been some big people who have made a big influence on your life?
Probably, I would say it was both of my parents, because it was made very clear to me when I was very little that I could do or be anything I wanted. There was nothing that would ever hold me back. So I was encouraged to apply to schools that, for the first time, like Princeton University, accepted women into their class, to fight for justice for women, because at the time that I was becoming a young woman, it was still that women were treated kind of like second-class citizens. So I became one of the early feminists, and I fought for women's rights, and that really was encouraged by my parents.
Did you feel important when you were fighting for women's rights? And how did you feel?
I felt that I was making a difference.
Yeah.
So in that sense that I was important. I didn't put myself at the top of any kind of pyramid of any sort in terms of importance, but I felt like I was playing a role in setting the set for the women that would follow me, that it would be easier for them.
Yeah. What are some of the most important lessons that you've learned in your life?
Well, I would say that you have to decide what matters to you and try to determine your own future and not let other people decide for you what your future is going to be. For example, when I came out of my residency, although I was the top of my class and I won the award for top resident every year that I was there, when I finished, the only recruitment I really had was from Kaiser, where I was. Nobody really wanted me, even though I had done so well, because it was viewed that being a woman was a negative. I would take time off, I'd be unreliable. And after I interviewed at a number of doctor practices, I've said to myself, you know what? if they can do it, I can do it. Why would they be smarter than me? So if they could create their own business, it just dawned on me, guess what? I could do it too. And then I could make my own way. I could set it up to be what I wanted it to be. I could have my own schedule and be my own boss, which I had never thought that I would be. I never thought that I'd be an entrepreneur and create my own business. But that's like an important lesson. It's like, well, don't underestimate what you can do. And if other people are not going to do it the way you want it, maybe you could just do it yourself.
Mm-hmm. What are you proudest of?
Well, probably I'm proudest of my children and grandchildren because they have all created their own lives and a lot of independence. I tried never to hold them back so that they could be whatever they wanted to be. So I'm very, very proud of them.
What have been some of the happiest moments of your life?
Well, there's been lots of happy moments. So I would say some of the happiest were when I was on vacations. And we did a lot of fun stuff like river rafting and skiing together as a family. Just doing things when the whole family was together. Those were probably the happiest times.
Yeah, what were like some of your favorite vacations and like things you've done with your family?
Well, I would say pretty much all the ski vacations were super fun. When we went to Yellowstone in the winter was super fun. And it was really funny when we went on a trip to France and we were in boats and in this little moat thing and it was pouring on us and everybody was having fun. And we were in this crazy car. So I would say all our family vacations were super fun. I could pick out moments, but they all kind of were really happy moments.
All right, what is your favorite memory of me?
I would say the different Halloweens when I got to go to your house and I got to see you in your costume and we went out trick-or-treating and you're so cute and really got into it. So those were really simple but super fun moments.
Why did you choose to be a doctor and involved in medical care?
Well, when I grew up, I only thought there were 3 careers open to me. That's all I knew about. I could be a lawyer, a teacher, or a doctor. I didn't know about any other jobs. That's all the only ones I thought I could be. So I thought, which would I like the best? And I decided that being a doctor was my favorite of those 3, because I didn't really look at other things, which is kind of makes it easier to choose when you only know there are 3 things to choose from.
And you also kept that job for now a long time, so what were some of the influences to get you to keep that job working in?
Well, I think it sort of came from inside of me that I would change. So although I've been a doctor my whole career, I've changed how I've worked over the years. So I grew a business that was really big and then I made it smaller and then I went into integrative medicine and over time I stopped doing deliveries, obstetrics, and then I stopped doing surgery. So I've just evolved it. So I think the way to stay in the same basic career is to modify it so you're not stagnant, so that you make changes, so that it's always dynamic and new.
Okay. If you could talk to a younger version of yourself, what would you say?
I would probably say to do whatever you could to try to make things a little simpler so that your life could be not so complex with so many things to juggle. So maybe to stick a little bit more with prioritizing instead of trying to do so many things all the time.
Mm-hmm. All right. What is your earliest memory?
Well, when I think back, I think my earliest memory was just being in the park with my mom, and I think I was about 2, but I'm not sure what park it was.
Do you remember what it looks like, or do you just remember being at a park?
Well, it looked like a typical park with a little kid, kind of a swing, the kind that little kids can go in, and it holds them like a little harness, as opposed to just an open slat. And I remember it was just, there were trees and grass, and my mom was pushing me. I also actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I remember we used to take vacations in a place in upstate New York called the Catskills. And I remember being there by the lake. So I remember that we were at a lake, and it was really pretty in the summer, and there were like blankets on the grass, and there was a beautiful like blue lake. And my mom and my dad were, and my brother were, my younger brother, I don't think was born yet. And we were just sitting there, like having a picnic on the blanket, I think it was a blanket, by the lake.
If you could change one thing about the world, what would it be?
Well, I would want that people could see our similarities instead of differences, and that people could share more instead of being so territorial and possessive. But I don't think I have that power.
Thank you for your time.